Alpha informs Sid that the Cult of Diablos is a vast organization operating on a global scale. To effectively combat it, she explains that they must divide their forces. Sid interprets this differently, seeing it as a polite way of saying that they have grown up, now seek their independence, and no longer wish to continue playing his fighting the cult game. When Sid turns 15, he enrolls in the same academy as his sister in the royal capital of the Midgar Kingdom. 7 months into academy life, he continues to live as a background character, befriending Skell Atal and Po Tato, fellow low-ranking nobles. One morning while heading to school, Skell and Po remind Sid of his punishment for scoring the lowest on a recent test. He must confess to the most sought-after girl in school and endure her rejection. Upon arriving at the academy, they witness that very girl, Princess Alexia Midgar, coldly rejecting another student's confession. Rather than feeling intimidated, Sid becomes excited, eager to experience such a scenario as part of his background character role. That evening, he approaches Alexia and awkwardly confesses, trembling and mumbling his way through what he believes is the perfect mediocre performance. To his complete surprise, Alexia accepts, claiming she had been waiting for someone like him. Rumors spread rapidly throughout the academy, leaving students baffled as to who Sid is and what makes him special. Meanwhile, Sid, Skell, and Po struggle to understand why Alexia accepted him, even joking that if Sid had a chance, then perhaps they might as well. Alexia joins them for lunch in the lower nobility section, shocking the entire student body. Served an excessive amount of food, she casually remarks that she cannot finish it all. Sid eagerly begins eating her leftovers, hoping to make her lose interest and break up with him. Alexia soon reveals that she knows Sid studies royal bush and fencing and asks him to practice with her. Although Sid points out that he belongs to the lowest section, Alexia explains that she has already arranged for him to be transferred to Section 1. Later, Sid joins Section 1, where the official royal fencing instructor, Xenon Griffey. During practice, Sid notices that Alexia's attacks never quite land. She moves slowly and uses little magic, but he realizes the purpose of the exercise is to refine technique rather than win. While he acknowledges that her style is technically sound, he finds it somewhat uninspired. After practice, Alexia admits that she dislikes Sid's fencing style because it reminds her of herself. She then boldly announces to Xenon that Sid is now her boyfriend. Xenon responds calmly, stating that it does not change the fact that she is betrothed to him. At that moment, Sid begins to understand the situation. Confronting Alexia privately, Sid deduces that she chose him, a low-ranking noble, as a convenient pawn to help her escape her engagement to Xenon. Alexia confirms his suspicion. Uninterested in drawing attention to himself, Sid initially refuses to get involved. However, Alexia reveals that she knows his confession was fake, as his friends had already told her everything. She threatens that if word spreads that he toyed with a princess's feelings, his peaceful academy life would be over. She proposes that he continue acting as her boyfriend until Xenon gives up. CD points out that Xenon might not back down so easily, given the obvious difference in their status. Alexia admits this but insists she only needs time. She then tosses him a gold coin. Offended, Sid asks if she truly thinks he can be bought. She replies confidently that he can, and Sid promptly proves her right by catching the coin in his mouth like a dog. With his allowance insufficient to fund his Eminence and Shadow ambitions, he cannot afford to pass up this opportunity. Thus, Sid agrees to continue the act. He is pleased that the attention remains focused on Alexia rather than himself, allowing him to maintain his role as an unremarkable background character. In public, Alexia behaves with elegance and composure, but in private, she constantly criticizes Xenon. Sid chooses not to argue, simply agreeing with everything she says. Curious, Sid asks what exactly is wrong with Xenon. Alexia explains that it is easy to pretend to be perfect, but true humans always have flaws. Xenon, however, appears flawless, which she finds unnatural. One day, while riding the train together, Alexia comments on Sid's fencing. She notes that while he has mastered the basics, there is nothing extraordinary about his style, yet she cannot take her eyes off him. Sid observes that her own fencing that day was unusually aggressive and unrefined. In response, Alexia confesses that she has always wanted to match her older sister's brilliance. Lacking her sister's natural talent, she chose to grow stronger through her own efforts. Despite this, she was mockingly labeled the fencing ordinaire. She remarks that it is unfortunate that C's style is just as ordinary as hers. However, Sid disagrees, stating that he actually likes her fencing. Surprised, Alexia recalls that her sister once said the same thing after she suffered a humiliating defeat at the Bushin festival, though her sister could never truly understand how she felt. Sid responds by explaining that he is not a particularly good person. He would not care if countless lives were lost. but there are things others consider worthless that he finds incredibly precious. That is why he appreciates her fencing. Offended yet intrigued, Alexia draws her sword and demands clarification. Sid calmly replies that he simply hates it when people insult the things he values. As the train arrives at its stop, Alexia quietly bids him farewell and leaves, leading Sid to assume their relationship has come to an end. The next day, Skell and Poe apologize to Sid for revealing the truth about his confession to Alexia. However, they are more interested in how far his relationship progressed during the 2 weeks they dated. When Sid admits that nothing happened, they express frustration, claiming they would have taken full advantage of the situation. As they approach the school gates, Xenon and 2 knights stop them. Xenon informs Sid that Alexia failed to return to her dormitory the previous night, and her disappearance is being treated as a possible kidnapping. Since Sid was the last person seen with her, he is their primary suspect. Surrounded by knights, Sid quickly surrenders, realizing he is now in serious trouble.